What up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy, aka DFS Dudes, and we're here to present you our NFL Week 4 tight end and defensive plays. If you're new to this channel, please make sure to click the subscribe button below. This week, I'll watch all of our NFL, NBA, and MLB videos. And if you haven't already, go check out our new website at www.dfscheatsheet.com. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, everything that you need. So make sure and check it out, www.dfscheatsheet.com. So another week of NFL, looking forward to it. How you doing out there, Jeremy?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Just got home from the gym. I've been on this keto diet. You got me, on right now. Lost some weight, feeling pretty good right now. And yeah, man, so things are going very well. Looking forward to this week of football. I definitely think there's some really good matchups that we can exploit. Do you want to just jump into this video and kind of get going real quick?
Absolutely, man. Hey, I was going to ask you a question. I noticed that we're getting questions on our YouTube when we're doing these videos, and I'd like to be able to answer a couple of them before we wrap the video up. Does that show on your screen? Are we able to see those when they're asking them? Or is that something we got to figure out?
Yeah, I think that's something we got to figure out. I don't necessarily know how to do that, but I definitely think it's something. When we get off the air, I'll look into that and we can figure out how we're gonna.
I just want to make sure that we covered that real quick, because I do see that people are asking us questions when we're live, and we're not actually looking at YouTube when we're doing the video, so we don't really have a way at the moment to see what you guys are asking us.
Yeah.
I'll check the channel while you're giving your first pick.
All right. So you want to start defense? You want to start tight end first?
I'll follow you, man. Whatever you want to.
Let's get the boring out the way. And we'll go with defense. I think there's two obvious cash game plays this week. First, I'm going to go with the Seahawks going against Arizona. Arizona, they did a little bit better last week than they did the previous couple weeks. But at the end of the day, Arizona's still bottom 2 in the league offense. They're not very good. They're not moving the ball very good. Seattle's defenses, picked it up last week against the Cowboys, and I don't think Arizona's much better. Seahawks, they're cheap. I think they're like $4,300, $4,400 on FanDuel. Very good price. So I think that my first defense I'm going to go with is going to be the Seahawks going against the Arizona Cardinals.
I definitely didn't see that coming. When we discussed this previously to going on, that you were going to pick Seattle. But I get it. Josh Rosen named the starter this week. Arizona has not, until last week, hadn't really shown any signs of offense. Seattle just not really a good team, I don't think, either. I think our Cowboys are also one of those bottom-tier teams this year as well. But in the spot, it's daily. It's not like you're loading this team up to have on your annual fantasy league for the rest of the season. It's daily. We look at the matchups each week. They're different. I totally get the play. And that kind of leads me into my pick, which I'm going to go with San Diego for a lot of the reasons you're probably taking Seattle, and that's a different quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo out with a torn ACL injury. 49er fans are probably really bummed. I know there are 49er fans that feel that C.J. Beathard will come in and deliver for him. I think the difference with the 49ers, they've got some weapons around this year. They've got Goodwin who can stretch the field. They got a Pierre Garçon. George Kittle's been really popular in daily and in annual league. So that, there's some weapons there. Breida's been running the ball well. But I just think that San Diego showed me a little something last week. I didn't buy into that game with the Rams, that it was going to be this huge shootout that San Diego – or I keep calling them San Diego, man. The Chargers. I'll just say the Chargers. It's crazy that they're the LA Chargers, and this is their second season. I still can't call them the LA Chargers. Anyway, I didn't buy into it. I didn't think that the Chargers would be able to keep up. I didn't think that they'd be able to move the ball on the Rams defense. They really didn't move the ball that well. But this is day, like we said, and it's a different week. I'm going to take the Chargers just because I think their pass rush can get after the 49ers a little bit. The Chiefs aren't a really good defense either, and they did get after Garoppolo. The 49ers were really stale in the first half of that game last week. So I think that the Chargers are a team I can get behind. They project overall for me in the top 5 for my defense this week, and it's a team that I will load up and have exposure to in tournaments.
Yeah, no, I definitely like the Chargers. I played them 2 weeks ago when they played the Bills and they got me 5 sacks, So, yeah, I know I definitely like to play. They're not, the best defense, but they're a defense that you could use when you're picking on teams, that aren't the best. And honestly, sorry for all you Niner fans out there, but the season's over for you guys. The other guy's not going to come in and do what, they were expecting Garoppolo to do and have a chance at the playoffs this year. It's done. I mean, it is what it is. I definitely like the Chargers defense. So for me, I'm going to
One thing I'll add to that is I won't go as far as saying I think their season's over because I do think they have weapons and I do think Beathard is a serviceable quarterback. But what I will say is that look at it like this. When the 49ers traded for Garoppolo, I want to say it was 4 or 5 weeks before he actually took a snap in a game and played. The reason for that is the guy's got to get acquainted with the system and the playbook. Okay, well, Beathard, you can make the argument that he played in the system before. He's been there. And he understands the system. He hasn't prepared for a game, though, to be the starter, to be the number one guy since basically week 10 or 11 of last year. It's been Garoppolo's team. Right. I think there's a space where the 49ers are going to be a competitive team. I don't see them making the playoffs, but I definitely could see them getting 6, 7, 8 wins this year. I just think this week in this matchup, with the Beathard coming in, I just think this is a good opportunity for – you got Beathard who's going to come in. He's got to set protections. He's got to be responsible for blitz pickups. He's got to be responsible for hot calls. He's got to change the play. All of that in 5 days in a short week.
I get what you're saying.
He's got a pass rush. I think San Diego can get after him a little bit.
Right. This is his first weekend. Maybe after a couple of weeks, he'll settle in and do a little better. I get what you're saying. It makes sense for sure. So I'm going to go with my next defense. I'm going to go with the Jaguars against the Jets. The Jets have a rookie quarterback. The Jets aren't very good. I mean, they had a couple of decent weeks, I understand. But now they're going against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who honestly is the top 3 defense in the league. Plain and simple. If you do want to pay up for them, I think they do give you a little bit of safety in your cash games. Good solid floor for you. I really don't have much else to say. I like the Jaguars against the Jets, top 3 defense against, one of the bottom 5 offenses in the league.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, last year I think they surprised everybody when they came – the way they came out and played and were a top defense in the NFL last year. They can really get after the passer. They've got lockdown corners. They got Jalen Ramsey who can take away half a football field. They've got a good pass rush. Jacksonville is an elite defense who has not played an elite level yet. The problem that I have with Jacksonville, and I'm sure the problem that Jacksonville has with Jacksonville itself, is they have Blaine Gabbert as their quarterback.
Right.
And they have a difficult time moving the football, as they demonstrated last week in their matchup against Tennessee. A defense stays on the field, right? And when a defense starts to click is when an offense can put points on the board and that pass rush can go to work. Pin its ears back and go after the quarterback. They can play man coverage outside, let the front 7 go to work. I don't know how big I am on Jacksonville right now until they show they can move the football and they get healthy offensively. Even Yeldon's banged up. Leonard Fournette's banged up. I know Fournette's practiced. When they become a healthy offense, I'll really like Jacksonville. I think they're a sneaky play this week for sure because I get the matchup. I get why you're taking them. I'm probably just not 100% on board with Jacksonville yet.
Yeah, I get what you're saying for sure. But like I said, I top 5 defense versus a bottom 5 offense. For me, it's just kind of like all the checks are marked off. Somebody definitely I think we should consider this week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that leads me into my next pick defensively. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers. Look, anytime you've got Matthews as a pass rusher on any team, I like him and his ability to get after the quarterback. I think Minnesota got caught completely off guard by Buffalo. Like we said yesterday, I don't think that Minnesota prepared for Buffalo and gave them the respect that they deserve being their NFL football team. And I think they got caught slipping. I don't think that happens back-to-back weeks. Green Bay needs a win, right? Green Bay needs a win. The game's at Lambeau Field. I just think that Green Bay this week gets after the quarterback. I think that they play a really solid game. And if for what I just said about Jacksonville, Green Bay does have Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay does have weapons. Green Bay's offense can put points on the board, right? They're not struggling to move the football. I have a little doubt with Aaron Rodgers. How healthy is Aaron Rodgers actually right now? But I do not see a situation where Green Bay comes out and gets blown up and falls down, 27-0 to Buffalo here. I think Green Bay gets after the passer. I think they have a very solid front seven. Their secondary is much improved from 2 years ago. They started improving last year with the draft picks they made. They got Clinton Dix back there. I think the secondary is much better than the weapons that Buffalo has on their perimeter. LaShawn McCoy, what's going to happen with McCoy? McCoy playing, not playing. He's got a rib injury. Chris Ivory, that's their next kind of running back. I don't see him running the ball. Their best running weapon last week against Minnesota was their quarterback. Josh Allen, I know coming in had a lot of, some hype behind him, and he kind of lived up to the expectation of what people thought he was going to do. But I think that was just a 1 week type deal. I think he'll continue to improve as the season goes on, but Buffalo doesn't have enough to surround him. And that's why I like Green Bay a lot this week.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, between, I really like Seahawks. I really like Jaguars. And then you went with the Chargers and the Packers. Those are four of my top five defenses that I'm looking at so far early in the week. The only other one I'll quickly just throw in, not going to elaborate on them, is I also do like the Philadelphia Eagles going against the Titans. The Titans offense definitely hasn't been very good. And the Eagles, I mean, they're a Super Bowl winning team. So, I mean, that's my top five defenses. We pretty much touched on them. So, I mean, I'm ready to move on to tight end. You?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to get it started first. Well, my top cash game tight end on the slate is going to be Zach Ertz for the Philadelphia Eagles. The guy he's just a target monster. I mean, last week with Wentz coming back, we didn't know what was going to happen, and he still got 10 targets. Through 3 weeks, he has week 1, 10 targets, week 2, 13 targets, week 3, 10 targets. You know what I mean? So he's getting double-digit targets every single week. The Titans are the third worst in the league versus tight ends. I mean, they're just bad. And also, too, one thing that's really, really getting me with Zach Ertz is, he's getting all these mad targets, and he hasn't scored a touchdown yet. And he's due for a touchdown. And, he's going to get one, sooner than later. He's getting too many targets to not be scoring touchdowns. And I definitely could see this week could be the week where he gets over the hump and he gets his first touchdown. Second week with Wentz back. I just really like this spot for him. I think it's a very fair price tag. $7,000 for a guy who's getting 10+ targets a week.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guys in the DFS 5-pack like to use the saying "cog in the wheel," right? And that's exactly what he is. I have no problem with that play. And I think that as the season goes on, he'll be more and more involved in the offense than he already is. He's already receiving a lot of targets. He's a big chunk of it. I think as they get healthy, it'll free up coverage for him, and he'll have even bigger games than he's had already. Because if you really look, he hasn't had that monster game yet, and I think that's coming at any time. I'm gonna go with a guy that you're gonna have to pay up for this week, and this is kind of just a gut play me as a tournament player, and that's Rob Gronkowski. I just think there's too many things going on around the Patriots that are negative and going on around Gronkowski that maybe aren't positive. The Detroit thing with the trade, rejecting a trade to go to Detroit, that was a real popular conversation last week. He comes out after the game, he confirms that he did say he'd retire. He doesn't have a great game against Detroit, but on the season, he has got 18 targets in 3 games. So he's averaging 6 targets a game. He has the huge game week 1 where he gets 7 catches, 123 yards and a touchdown, 15 yards in week 2 against Jacksonville. And then he did have 4 catches for 51 yards. The problem that New England has right now is, and especially if you look at that Detroit game, that was basically coverage sacks and coverage pressure. Guys just weren't open. Brady was holding the football. You saw at the end of the game, he just launched the ball where he got an intentional grounding call on it, just launched the ball down the middle of the field. That was frustration, right? Like, nobody's open. I'm just throwing the freaking ball and I'm going to launch it. That was frustration. That was Tom Brady being frustrated with his receivers. Nobody's getting open. I think that they find a way to use Gronkowski this week. You don't know how much Josh Gordon is going to help that situation. But Josh Gordon's a weapon, and Josh Gordon can stretch the field. I got to believe it's the time now to put some sort of a small package in for Josh Gordon, so that you can free up this offense a little bit and get guys open. They're playing Miami. Miami's weak in the secondary. We saw that last week. Jordy Nelson had a really big game. I actually picked and thought that it would be Amari Cooper. I know I told you, off air a few times that I thought Cooper would have a decent game. It ended up being Jordy Nelson. I just think this is the week to play Gronkowski. I think ownership is going to be depreciated on him. Anytime you got to pay up $8,100 for a guy who had 2.5 and 7.1 fantasy points in his last 2 weeks, people are going to avoid that, especially when you can get Ertz at 7,000. If you're playing the full Thursday through Monday slate, you can get Kelsey at 7,700. It just seems like, why would you pay up for Gronk? I think this is a week you get him really low owned, and I think it's a really good spot to go ahead and pay up for him.
Yeah, no, I mean, we know New England year after year, whenever they're, struggling a little bit and they're trying to get some rhythm, trying to, figure things out a little bit. I mean, Gronkowski's their go-to guy. And, he's, the past 5 years pretty much, even more than that. I mean, you're paying for him $8,100 like a wide receiver, but he's giving you those same numbers. You know what I mean? He has the same upside as an Antonio Brown, as a Julio Jones at the tight end position. So for GPP-wise, like you said, coming off 2 down weeks, I definitely think that he's a great, great play. New England, they have to win this game. They're going against Miami. Miami's in their division. If they lose this game, they're going to be back, I think, 3 games to Miami in that division. That's something they're not going to want to do, and they're going to do absolutely everything that they have to do to win this game. And if it consists of we have to throw to Gronk 15 times to make this happen, I mean, that's something that they showed that they would do in the past. So I definitely think Gronkowski's a really good GPP play. So for my final tight end cash game play, I'm going to go with Ebron for the Colts. Last week he kind of busted on us a little bit. He was owned. He was almost 50% owned. Doyle was out. I'm thinking Doyle's going to be out again this week. I mean, he's only 5,500, and he's figuring out ways to score fantasy points. The first 2 weeks, he didn't have pretty weeks, but he also was spelling Doyle, and he was still getting the red zone targets. Week 1, he caught 4 or 5 passes for 51 yards and a touchdown, 13 fantasy points. Boom, I would love that from him. Week 2, he caught 3 or 4 passes for only 26 yards, but another touchdown, 10 fantasy points, okay? So, boom. So, he's a solid red zone target. I was just watching NFL Live last night, and they're saying Andrew Luck isn't healthy. He can't throw the ball deep. He's throwing all his passes short. And who benefits more on short passes than a tight end on 10-yard, 10, 15-yard passes max? Last week, Doyle didn't have a touchdown. We can't get touchdown dependent. He only caught 5 catches, but he had 11 targets. The dude had 11 targets. You know what I'm saying? If he would have caught a couple more of those, he would have had a really solid game for us. I mean, he caught 5 for 11, 33 yards for 6 fantasy points. It wasn't nothing special. I just really like the fact that he got 11 targets. Luck isn't throwing the ball deep, so he is looking for that tight end more and more. If Doyle's out this week, then I definitely think you can use Ebron as a cash game play.
Yeah, I mean, you said it best when you said targets, right? The thing about Ebron is Ebron's always been disappointing, right? He's got that stigmatism on him. Like, he's been in some really good spots when he was in Detroit and kind of disappointed. The only other knock on Ebron is he does drop some balls. But if you're going to get you can play the percentages with that. If you're going to get 11 targets for that price, who else are you going to get that many opportunities with for that price, right? And Andrew Luck, you can go back – Doyle, you can go back further than that and look at the tight end position. Andrew Luck has always looked to find the tight end. He's always looked to find the tight end. The guy's name is slipping my mind that was there that ended up going to New Orleans. Dallas.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about Fleener. No, Fleener?
Kobe Fleener, too. Yeah, Kobe Fleener. So Kobe Fleener ended up going to New Orleans, right? But Andrew Luck threw it to Fleener, right? He likes to throw to the tight end. The thing about Andrew Luck is Andrew Luck played in a pro-style offense at Stanford. He played in the West Coast offense. Go back and if you remember Spider 2Y Banana Man, right, on John Gruden's quarterback show, Andrew Luck, the tight end in the West Coast offense is a staple. Andrew Luck is comfortable throwing to the tight end. He's comfortable throwing the ball to the tight end in the seam, on the wide stick, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He will always look for the tight end in the red zone as well. So for that price, I don't think that Ebron stays below $6,000 for long. I think he'll have a couple of really solid weeks going forward. And I think we get him at $6,200, $6,300 probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Definitely. So who you got for us to finish us out at tight end?
So I'm going to finish us out at tight end, and I'm going to finish out with Jordan Reed. I just think Jordan Reed's week is coming, right? I mean, Alex Smith, we're talking about Andrew Luck using the tight end, being comfortable using the tight end. If there's anybody else in the NFL that likes to use the tight end and check down, it's definitely Alex Smith. Alex Smith struggles to take shots down the field. It's just a knock on Alex Smith. The positive, Alex Smith typically does not turn the football over. He's a really good game manager, if you will. But Jordan Reed is a guy that we've seen. He's got 2 touchdown upside. He's got 3 touchdown upside. I think that the big game is coming from him. I think that they've gotten game reps. We're 3 games into it. Washington's defense is top in every category, I think, except for one where they're 10th. That means more possessions offensively. The running game is going. When you got the running game going with Adrian Peterson and Chris Thompson, that opens up the play action pass. When linebackers come forward, it opens up that middle of the field seam area for the tight end. I just think that it's time for Jordan Reed. I look for Jordan Reed to have a really big week this week. And from a price standpoint, you know, he's not he I think I said this before. I like to look at guys that are kind of sandwiched in between prices. And when you look around, you've got, you know, Zach Ertz, Travis Kelce. Nobody really wants to go up and pay for Gronk. But then below that, you can get Eric Ebron. And then another guy that I do like this week is Trey Burton at $5,600. I know we have a question on that from Tyler Wright. I'm looking at our live stream, and he wants to know our thoughts on Burton. I'll throw Burton as well in that mix, where I think it's kind of his week to have a big week. So I'll give Burton as like a bonus pick at $5,600 because I do think he's another guy that I do like. He's a really good pivot off of Ebron at $5,500 if you're going to load up both those guys in tournaments. And again, if you want to look at targets, Burton's more consistent, right? Just look at what he's done from a consistency standpoint.
Right.
6, 4, and 5. You know, he's averaging 5 targets per game. He's had 4 catches in back-to-back weeks, so I'll give Burton as a bonus pick. I think that's a guy you can definitely play. I think the question is, he just really wanted to know about if we liked Burton. I do like Burton this week. I probably put Burton as like my 4th or 5th ranked tight end for the week, behind the guys we've already listed. But I'll wrap that up as my tight end play, Jordan Reed, and give you the bonus pick of Trey Burton.
All right, yeah. I mean, hey, that's all I really got for defense and tight end. Tonight we're gonna hit up we're gonna hit up wide receivers tonight.
I think we go running backs, wide receivers. We go one of the two.
We'll go wide receiver. We go wide receivers and running backs and quarterbacks. So hey, we'll be back tonight with our wide receiver plays for week 4. If you got any questions about tight end or defense, something that we didn't touch on, hit us in the comment section below. And what we'll do is we'll get to those questions on our next video. We'll get that, first thing, we'll get those questions out the way. So make sure you got those notifications turned on. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. And hey, that's it, man. Let's get some money this week. All right. Peace out.